American women have ruined dating, at least for me. And I'm going to tell you how I've came to that conclusion. It seems like yesterday I just stepped off the plane into a country that I would call heaven on earth, at least for me. But now I am back. I have returned into what I will call my hell on earth, or this godforsaken country. Now, of course, I'm joking a little bit and I'm being a little dramatic, but at the same time, there is truth into what I feel and how I think. And this is why. If you are anything like me, you were born in a place to where you think the opposite than the majority. And if you are a person that is firm in your belief, firm in your convictions, it's going to be very hard to survive around people who think the opposite of you, because whenever you find somebody who thinks differently than you, most times people aren't just like, oh, okay, he thinks differently. No, you become a target. And so, because of that, you will grow up thinking that the way that you are and the way that you feel and the way that you think is crazy. In fact, there are some people who will even go as far as to demonize you. They will think that you are crazy or you are asking for too much. But I thank God every day that I was able to travel, because it wasn't until I traveled that I realized that there are entire societies that think in the same way that I think. The values that they hold are the same values that I hold. And not only do they have them, but they shape the community, they shape the social values to reflect that. And it wasn't until I was in these places that I realized that how I think is actually correct, at least for us. And not only that, but people also believe that. And so when I say that American women have ruined dating, in this segment of You're Not Crazy, I'm going to be talking about a couple differences. I have a little list here. A couple differences of what you would believe they would make you sound crazy, but in different parts of the world, they hold those beliefs, or at least the complete opposites. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into this. The first thing that I have here that people, you have this belief and people might think you're crazy, but other places they don't, is, and especially in honor of Valentine's Day, is couples holidays are for couples and not just her. I grew up, at least in high school, thinking that things like Valentine's Day is strictly for the woman, of course, and mainly because most guys don't care, or at least so I thought. But I always think guys had to go all out. You had to get the flowers and the chocolate and the teddy bear and the expensive dinners and the expensive gifts and all these other jazz, all these other things. And that's exactly who I was. One, because I wanted to be the best boyfriend in the world, right? Maybe you guys can relate to that. You just wanted to be a really great partner or a really great boyfriend for your girlfriend. And so I knew that a lot of women would, they compare gifts, or they say, oh, like, look what my man got me, or she's walking around with something and other girls are jealous. I wanted to give my girl at the time that feeling. And so I went out, I got the bear, I got the chocolates, I got the flowers. Our school would have these things where you would pay like $1 and you could have like cards delivered to your significant other's classroom, right? So you go during lunchtime, you pay $1, you write a little card, and then they would deliver it. And so what would happen was, you're in class, the teacher's teaching, and then they would knock on the door and say, hey, we have some things. So it was a moment, because all the girls in the classroom are like waiting like, did I get something? And so I knew that that was going to happen. And so I made sure that not only is my girl going to walk in with the flowers and the chocolate and the bear, but she's also going to get the card that when they come in they say, oh, here's her, and I think I bought her like 5 or 6, right? So everybody would get one, and here she getting like 5 or 6, so and I knew what that effect, what they would do. And side note, that actually gave me a lot of bonus points in girls' eyes, and they started going after me even while I was in that relationship because of that. But that's a story for a different day. So I wanted to do those things, and in return, what I got was something very basic and very simple, which of course I didn't mind, because in my mind I always thought that this holiday wasn't for men. But it wasn't until I got out the country that I realized that couples holidays are also for the men. And not only that, but you meet some people who they don't really expect to get things that are all out. They don't expect for you to ask them to be your Valentine's. They don't expect for you to go to dinner. And in fact, the thing that they really want from you is simply quality time. And when you recognize that you have somebody like that, it's actually a very beautiful thing, because you realize that they value the most important thing in a relationship, which is their significant other. And so while here, and again, this isn't everybody, but you could tell this is the majority, because as I surf social media, I see women showing their gifts. This guy got his girlfriend some money, laid it out on the bed, and some roses. And people in the comments, at least the women, were in the comments talking about how this is no effort, how he's not romantic, how I would be pissed if this was me, how all these different ungrateful things. Now, 9 times out of 10, every woman that was complaining about that was single. But at the same time, it really goes to show you that even if you had any type of idea and you wanted to appreciate your partner, how there are some people out there who will be extremely ungrateful for something like that. And you would actually leave thinking that you did a bad job and that you need to step up. One of the things that I hear is a lot of women will say the bar's in hell, or the bar is not high, not risen. And it really pains me, because it has a lot of guys thinking that they're always in this dynamic to where they have to seek the approval of their partner, and then not in a healthy way. It's more so they need to seek the approval of their partner while their partner is seeking the approval of society. And that's a very dangerous combination, because you'll always be at the mercy of society and not at the liberty of your relationship that you're building with your significant other. So one of the things that I've witnessed is that going overseas is that the couples holidays are a shared moment, and it's not something that you're trying to buy to help your girl flex on the gram so she could get approval or validation from total strangers about a relationship that they're not even plugged into. So that's number one. Number two is, and this one's actually a big one, I see this a lot. For the most part, I've read a lot of, and I see these comments a lot on different posts, that the man will have requirements from his woman. And a lot of these women will sneak in comments like, oh, what's next? You can never say no to your husband. You know what I mean? Like, you can't sleep with you. You're not supposed to, or you can't say no. You have to sleep with him whenever he wants, right? And that's the second thing that I have on my list here is wife sleeps with husband whenever he wants. For the longest time, I've been trained, like a lot of American men, where a woman telling you that I have a headache is an excuse, because no man wants to engage in any sexual activity where your partner, your woman, isn't ready to go. You know what I mean? Like, she's not in the mood. And so of course you don't want to do, because you want it to be beneficial. You just don't want somebody just to lay there while you pound away, right? But one of the things that I've realized about talking to American women is American women will use it like a treat, as in, if you do the things that I want you to do, I will reward you with sex. And a lot of dating is like that as well. There's a lot of girls who I see that they say like, oh, the date was great, and he would have gotten some that night. However, he went Dutch. He went 50-50. And then because of that, I no longer wanted to give him the box, so to say. And so you grow up in this system to where you actually believe that this is something that you have to earn. You think that this is a gift given to you, when in reality, it's not. In reality, sex is a 50-50, or at least I should say 100-100 situation. There's nobody giving you something. This is an exchange between two individuals. And I think that's very important. One of the things that I hear is that a woman will say, a woman will, overseas, a woman will sleep with her husband whenever he wants it, whether she's mad, sad, angry, jealous, whatever, however she feels. If her man wants it, she's going to give it to him. And I've heard this from different countries altogether. And even the woman that I'm involved with right now, she was telling me the same way, or the same thing, where I forgot how we came onto this subject, but essentially she was like, you can get it whenever you want. It's like whenever you want. It's like there will never be a time where I will deny you that. And it's simply because when we talk about the dynamics between a man and a woman, if I have the expectations that I have to do certain things, then it is on her to have it's on me to have expectations of her that she has to do certain things. I was always very curious as to guys who are in relationships with women, marriages and women, and he says we haven't slept together for 6 months. And I think to myself, I'd say, if you didn't pay a bill for 6 months, this relationship would be over a long time ago. So why are you expected to give 100% all of the time, but she is not expected to give 100% in something all of the time? It just never made sense to me. But whenever you bring this up to the common guy, they always fight against it. They always want to create an environment to where every woman, not just their women, every woman has the upper hand. And I just never believed that. And it wasn't until I went out the country that I realized that, yeah, that makes sense. There are women out there who believe that it is her duty to make sure that her husband is pleased at all times. And I thought that was a very beautiful thing. So the next one that I have on the list is quality time is enough for dates. We've seen so much nonsense over the years to where a person will tell you that Cheesecake Factory is not enough for a date. Olive Garden is not enough for a date. McDonald's is not enough for a date. What else? Chick-fil-A is not enough for a date. Fast food restaurant, like, it has to meet a certain quality threshold for it to be okay for a date. And there are a lot of women and men who believe that to be true. But to me, it was never true, because it just didn't make sense for the philosophy of relationships that I have. How you can't be a serial dater to make sure that a person is right for you if you are constantly going on these $100-$200 dates. Now, of course, the argument is, well, as a man, you should be making a lot of money, so these numbers don't affect you. However, that doesn't work across the board. So it just really never made sense to me. And it wasn't until I went out the country that I started dating outside the country, that I realized that most of the time, and again, most of the time, not all, most of the time, the women that you're dealing with, the date isn't about how much money you're spending or what you're doing. It's simply about the fact that you guys can come together and really vibe and have a conversation. There are women who will simply just come over and talk with you, share a drink with you. There are women who will go to the park with you, who will walk and get maybe some street food, $1, $3 street food. There are women who there's just a a strong demographic portion of women who, when they go on a date with you, the only thing they need you to do is show up and be with them. And that's such a, again, a breath of fresh air, because you don't have to worry about is this enough? Am I doing enough? Because you realize that they don't care. And I see a lot of American guys make this mistake when they go overseas, is they think they have to ball out. They think they have to show the girl that you're a baller and you have to do these things and da 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 da. But that's the American mindset. And when you travel overseas, you really have to deprogram yourself from the American training system that you have been indoctrinated into. And so that's the third one. Quality time is enough for dates. Sharing an ice cream, going to a walk in a park, watching a free show, going for a drive, whatever. That is enough. Number 4, she will listen to criticism and change immediately, or create an action plan to change over time. If you've ever dated in the United States, then you know that if you meet a girl and you try to tell her, like, hey, I don't like when you do this, there are a lot of different women who you will meet that will immediately terminate the relationship. And it's such a, you think that, oh, well, that's normal. I say this, I get blocked. I say this, she goes off on me. She now withholds sex, and she doesn't want to do anything with me. I ask for this, and she does something. It's not until you read communication books or you study emotional intelligence that you realize that that's not correct. And in fact, it's actually immature, very childish to do. But when 90% of the women that you meet are doing that, you start to think that, maybe this is right. You have to adapt. And so you adapt. And so a lot of guys, they may not even mention it. They're like, you know what? I'm not even going to complain. I'm just going to get what I can get. For me personally, that didn't make any sense. So for me, I have standards in a relationship. You will not do X, Y, and Z. And the reason why I have those standards is simply because a lot of women have those standards for you. There are things that she will tell you that you can't do, or she won't even tell you that you can't do. The moment that you do it, she's going to cut it off. She's going to block. She's not even going to help you work through it. It could be something that you could completely give up because it didn't really that matter to you in the first place. But again, you never have that chance. It wasn't until I went out of the country that I realized that whenever I had criticisms, that a woman will listen intently and say, oh, apologize, then we'll work through it. Oh, okay, let me not do that. Or let me change this, or I'm going to work on that. If you could give me grace, right? One of my favorite things that I like to mention that I know is a huge difference between American culture and other cultures is a woman will, if you're with a woman and she's like, hey, I'm going, with my friends, just hanging out, not really doing anything, and look what I'm wearing, and she sends you a picture, and they're like extremely short shorts, or a very revealing top, or something ridiculous like that. As an American man, you can say things like, oh, I don't want you wearing that. And immediately, you are going to get pushback. It's my body, my choice. You don't control. Listen, you're insecure, right? All these things. We've heard these excuses. And to the point where a lot of guys will actually start to hold the belief that, oh, I can't tell my girl what to wear. I can't tell my girl where to go, right? If she asks me to go somewhere, I can say, I don't want you to hang out with this person, and she listens. It's almost baked into our psyches that we can't do that in America. And it wasn't until I went out the country, and again, very firm in my beliefs, very firm in my convictions, that I realized that I say, whenever I see something, a girl I'm involved with, and I say, oh, no, I don't want you wearing that outside. And she just simply says, okay. And she doesn't wear it anymore. I thought that was the craziest, because again, it's one of those things where you say, I don't want you to do this. And then you kind of like brace for the pushback, right? But when you don't get any pushback, you just kind of realize that, wait a minute, what I'm asking for is a very normal thing, especially if I am the leader of my relationship. And so that's one of the beautiful things that I've learned and that I've had to deprogram in my American mindset is that things are different. And not only that, there are groups of people who, there are men, I've met plenty of men who's like, I would never tell my girl what to wear. And there are plenty of women that will say, my man will never tell me what to wear. It's not my job to judge them to say whether they're right or wrong. It's simply my job to remove myself away from them, simply so they don't, simply so we don't clash when it comes to these opinions, because nobody can really just have a opposite opinion and there not be any tension. It will bleed over eventually. And so that's one thing. And if there's a lot of other things to where you could correct a woman or change her mindset, and she immediately is going to follow. She immediately is going to trust your leadership and then make change. So I think that was a powerful one. The next one is the man is in charge so long as he takes charge. And again, this is a powerful one because I've met a lot of guys who they believe it's a 50-50 thing, that they sometimes they're in charge, sometimes they're not in charge. And then of course, if you think like me, I always believe that the man is in charge, the man is a leader. And it's simply because I understand leadership, and that doesn't mean that I am a dictator. It simply means that I gather all of the information and the opinions of the people that are involved around me so I can make the best decision. And I know there are a lot of people who don't feel that way. And so it wasn't until I went out of the country that I realized that there's a place where the majority of people have the same beliefs that I do, so much so that I am actually falling behind when it comes to how important male leadership is. And so it's even though it's frustrating, I have a deep appreciation for it because it's a reminder that says, hey, listen, you're in charge here. And that means if you're going to be in charge, you have to step into charge. And so there are a lot of women who they will be women and either assume position or do something else. And then it's your job to course correct or to set the standards to say, hey, listen, whenever XYZ happens, you come to me and we figure out XYZ. And it really helped me strengthen my leadership because I realized where I'm dropping the ball when it comes to leadership. And so it was just a very beautiful thing, as in if you were in a Western country or you were in a country that it's not set up that way, you will actually get a lot of pushback because they make it seem like you are a dictator or you are a person who is controlling, right? Whole time you just want to make sure that you and your significant other is going in the right direction and you guys are well protected. So that's that one. The next one is being masculine is celebrated and often necessary. So not only are you constantly rewarded by being masculine, but oftentimes it is necessary if you are trying to get the things that you need done. It wasn't, I remember I was on I wouldn't even say it was a date. We were just hanging out, kind of going out, doing things. And I realized that I was like, oh, this is not my country. I'm just going to let her lead the way because I'm thinking in my mind that, she's been here before lots of times. She kind of knows the layout. She can, and of course she speaks the language more fluently than me. But it wasn't until about 3 to 5 minutes that my frustrations, my frustrations were growing very quickly because we were double dutching. We were going left, right, diagonal, up here, up, confused here, with da. And it wasn't until it sparked in me that I said, oh, I have to take control of this. Even if I don't speak the language fluently, even if I don't really know what's going on, I understand the objective that we are trying to do. And I need to ensure that I'm leading us in that direction, and whatever happens, happens. And so when I took charge, it was almost an immediate fix to everything, to every problem that we were facing in that moment. And not only that, but of course, she responded immediately to what it is that I was trying to do. And I thought that was extremely powerful because it was just another reminder that, hey, listen, you're not in America anymore. This is not an American mindset that you have, and that needs to go away. And I simply love it. I love it. Now, of course, like I said, there are people who think the complete opposite and they would hate that. But me personally, I loved it. And I realized that the more masculine I am, and again, it's when I'm in these different countries, yes, I have a solid foundation based off what I've built, but there are a lot of avenues where I was dropping the ball because, again, it was the Americanized programming. So that's the next one. This is the last one. And I'm sure there's more, but that's just what I can think about right now. And that is wifely duties are expected and loves to be improved. What do I mean by that? Whenever I invite girls over to the house, it's nothing for them to cook food. It's nothing for them to clean. It's nothing for them to make sure that my clothes are done. My clothes are ironed. I had a woman wash my shoes. And when I say wash, you guys know you don't throw shoes in the washer, you hand wash it, right? And she did these. And again, these are things I'm not asking for. These are things that I get done with work and I come in and she's like, oh, I did this, I did this, I did this. And you're like, oh my gosh, right? Because you've never had that type of treatment before. And you realize that not only is it expected, but there are women out there that actually enjoy doing this and they want to improve. They want to get better. I remember when I was dealing with this woman, and you know, she asked me to buy something, and of course, for me personally, I don't like to buy women things that they don't deserve. I will buy a woman anything that she wants if she is being the type of woman who I need in my life, right? But I remember the thing that she asked me to buy her was a book. And the book was essentially a health book because she wanted to understand macros to cook healthier meals to help me on my not weight loss, but just my health journey. And I thought that was so beautiful because, of course, I would love to open my wallet for that. And the book was like $5, right? But again, these are things that I have never has been presented to me in all of my dating in America. And I think that is beautiful that when you go overseas, you talk to these women who are wife materials, because again, women are women everywhere. Single moms are over there. Slower whores are over there. Women who are promiscuous, women who are gold diggers, right? These women are everywhere. However, what's missing in America is there are not a lot of feminine or fit, feminine and friendly, submissive women who want to please you, who want to be the best version of themselves for you and your relationship. And I find that I meet a lot of those women overseas, or at least that I find those women a lot more overseas. And let me just touch on this point before I let you go. Most guys, whenever they hear me or other guys talk like this, they're like, oh, you just never had a woman who liked you before in the States. These women exist in the States. They just don't like you, or dot, 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 whatever. You guys have heard these before. But again, my whole point is exactly, why can't I find these women here? Why do I have to be this specific guy in order to get the basic levels of cooperation, or basic level of a woman who wants me in this type of way, who's willing to do these things for that? Why do I have to be this Superman of a human being? However, when I go overseas, that's thrown out the window, and I meet more of these women more often than not. Why is that? So anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I think I'm going to make another video about this, just in a different topic. But I appreciate you guys for joining me, and I wish all the best. Subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.